Welcome to your new SideQuest podcast with the intention of helping you through the game of life with mindful reframing and awareness as we all move through this journey called the human experience. It's time to level up. Hello everyone, and welcome to your new SideQuest podcast. I just want to say thank you so much again for tuning in, for supporting us. Please, if you can, give us that 5-star rating on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, tune into our YouTube channel, and subscribe. For this episode, we are going to explore how we approach goals in life. Welcome to your new side quest. What if the process is the reward you've been looking for? This is Derek.
And this is Zach.
So, we are going to explore a little bit more on our goals from career, health, hobbies, pretty much anything and everything. So, it's crazy because I saw this quote, or not really a quote. I saw this reel on Instagram from Gary Vee, and he was talking about how, quote, you don't love your business, you only love what your business can do for you, which is basically saying that when you're doing something, a lot of us are kind of just focused on the outcome rather than the doing itself, the verbing itself, the process, the journey. We're also goal driven, results driven. It's like we kind of miss the whole point. It's kind of like how we live life too, right? We're kind of just going through the motions. We're just working to make money, and we forget like all these little things in between that makes life so fulfilling. So I'm gonna run it to Zach. Tell me something. Tell me something or like a situation where you just totally forgot the whole enjoying of the journey and you were just so goal driven that you just forgot to enjoy life, basically.
Yeah. Well, I something that I struggled with a few years ago on Instagram before I even built the following that I have right now is that I really wanted to have a certain amount of followers, and that number looked like at least 10,000 because I've been creating content for a couple of years, and so in my mind I expected to grow that amount of followers, especially with like reels being introduced. And so I was posting like several reels, not in a consistent fashion, but like just here and there. And I thought they were pretty good reels until my progress slowed down. And I even noticed that I was losing followers too. So it discouraged me because I was looking at the metrics of my account. Like, why am I not getting followers, or why am I not getting like as much views or likes? And so I took a hiatus for about a couple of months, and my focus or my measure of success was so focused on the numbers, right? Getting like a certain amount of followers that I totally forgot about like why I even started creating content, why I even liked posting videos or photos, and what that meant for me to share it to the world or to my friends. And so once I stepped back, it just kind of made me realize that like despite not having an account or not being on social media, I still like to create videos. I still enjoyed the process of creating photos. And so that was an experience where I kind of forgot that process that I really liked. And I was so focused on the goal and outcome of like getting followers and yeah, getting that number.
Just hitting the number, that was the goal, right? And you totally lost your way.
Yeah, it was a detriment to my growth, actually.
I kind of have something similar to your experience. So, I'm gonna talk about how I ventured into photography. Um, so I went to this convention in Las Vegas. It's called the WPPI convention. It was for wedding and portrait photographers. There are all these like contests. There's these photo competitions, and there's this certain label that like sparked my interest. It was called Sony Artisan of Imagery. And that's like the highest accolade that's the highest accolade you could get from being a Sony shooter.
Wait,
So,
try repeat that again.
Sony Artisan of Imagery.
Oh, that sounds so
Like,
like
right?
prestige.
That title, I was like, holy shit, I wanna be that, you know? So like after experiencing that convention, I remember I was like, I wanted to go all in. I just want that label. I wanted to be a Sony Artisan of Imagery. So like I got a studio, like I invested in so much of this equipment, photography and equipment, thousands of dollars. I also like even at one point paid models so that I could like build a portfolio of my work. And like I did the reps, I did like everything. I learned Photoshop along the way, and like all I wanted to do was just like create work that got me closer to that label. And there was this point where COVID happened, and then I couldn't really meet a lot of people to work with anymore. And then when COVID was finished, I still didn't have a lot of business coming into my studio. And then I realized that, man, do I really, really want to continue doing this? And because, like, I was reaching so hard for that goal, that label, that I was so burnt out at that point, too. Like, I thought I was, to be honest, I believe that my work that I produced during that time, it was great. Like, I thought it was great, and there are people who thought it was great too, but I, at one point, I realized that I think I'm more just as a video, like I'm more of a videographer still. Like it always was my foundation was being a video guy. And long story short, I had to give up my studio. I wasn't making any content anymore, and I was just so burnt out. It's this whole process that just like burnt me out of trying to like work with models, arranging shoots, and then like culling through all the photographs. Oh my God, like I don't know if I don't know if I want to do that again. Like,
Yeah. There's definitely a difference between doing things as a means towards an end versus like doing things just because you enjoy it.
yeah, the thing is though, like I lost sight of the creation process, like of like enjoying that creating process of just finding that one beautiful photo that I could like touch up and just make pretty. But like also I forgot that like, I learned a lot of things during that process. I was so busy focused on this label that I wanted to obtain that I didn't realize how much I've grown, as an artist in general, as a creative. Like I feel like I rushed through that. And like to be honest, I experienced so many things because of the photography journey. Like like I said before in a previous podcast, I met so many people, had many experiences. I worked with like beautiful people. I was flown to San Francisco at one point to shoot at a lingerie company, and that was cool. And I also have photos like documenting that too, like behind the scenes, and that was fun. And I felt like, man, I rushed through that. Like I never just stopped and paused and been like, wow, I'm like living a good life right now.
Yeah.
And like right all of a sudden it's over, right? I gave up the goal of finding the label of getting that Sony Artisan of Imagery label. It's out of my list of things to do now,
Yeah.
but like honestly, I just regret not pausing, just being present and just really being there, in that moment of creating. That was just completely lost, and I just can't believe I didn't savor those moments as it happened.
Yeah. That's so important when you're doing something that you find fulfillment in is like knowing when to just stop and be like, hey, this is actually like fulfilling me right now. This is so fun. Um, there, there's even things that like you enjoy, where like you can pause and be present in the moment.
Yeah, those are are the things that I kind of want to explore now right into because after that journey of realizing that I wasn't in the moment anymore, I started doing some practices of, pausing and, stopping to smell the roses. There are a few things that I really do enjoy the process of, but let's run it back to you first. Like, tell me, Zach, what is one thing that you just like? You don't really have a goal in sight. You just like love just verbing, doing it.
Yeah. Running. I so when I was in high school, I used to be in track and cross country, and the cool thing about it was like in 8th grade, I I just wanted to run because I just looked cool. Like I just wanted to be the fastest in my PE class. But then that turned into something that transitioned into high school where I got into the sport. I started running, and at first I wanted to do it to impress people, but then throughout like practices and just running on my own, I started to find an enjoyment in just the pace and the meditative state of being in motion, going at the same tempo. And I still do that whenever, like I need to do something physical, I need to get out there and relieve some stress is running. Like even during the pandemic, I remember I would run 5 miles, 8 miles, 10 miles. And to some people, they were like, that's crazy. Like, how could you run that many miles? Like, isn't three enough? Like, isn't three the goal? And yeah, three is a good number, but I didn't care about the goal. Like, I didn't care about like just running 3 miles or burning 300 calories. I just want to run because it puts me in that state where like I just don't care about anything.
Mhm.
I'm in that like that zone,
You're
that mode,
you're basically in full presence then, huh?
full presence.
Of like flow. And that's a good feeling, honestly, to be in that state of mind. Do you get the runner's high? Do you ever have that?
Oh yeah, so that comes in for me. I feel like whenever I'm on mile 4 or 5, I don't know. It's kind of weird, but like I don't feel it at first. Like it takes a lot of mental energy and consciousness to get myself into that state. But once I'm in it, it's all like subconscious. Like everything else just kind of sweeps under me,
Just melts away, all the
melts away.
world.
Yeah.
The world just melts away. But I kind of want to talk about a weird experience I had recently, of enjoying the adventure more than the goal. It's kind of silly, but I don't know if it's all around the world right now, but currently McDonald's is selling Happy Meals that have these Pokemon cards, right? They do it every year, and there's always the Pikachu that everyone wants because it's the Pokemon mascot, right? And I always want the Pikachu.
Oh yeah, seen those around.
Yeah, and so for this year, I had this moment where I realized, okay, so I do want the Pikachu. I wanted the Pikachu. That is my goal. But like I was dreading the moment that I would get the Pikachu. And the reason was because I felt like once I get that Pikachu, the magic disappears. The rush of like going to get a Happy Meal and like getting the box and opening the booster pack and like that whole dopamine like rush, like it will be over, because the whole magic is in the mystery of like not knowing whether or not you're gonna get it. So I had that realization was that you know, that's when I realized that I do enjoy the journey. I do enjoy the magic of not knowing because it gives me that little rush of dopamine. But
Did you eventually find that Pikachu, or what was the story of you getting it?
so I did not get the Pikachu this year. I did not get it on my own, by the way. Anyways, like I didn't get it on my own. So what happened was my other friends wanted like one card. It was the Dragonite. And that wasn't really my intention of getting it. Like I didn't care for it, but like I eventually pulled the Dragonite, and all my other friends had like multiple Pikachus. So I'm pretty sure you know where this is going. I had the opportunity of getting a Pikachu not through pulling it myself, but through my connections.
I see. You traded.
Yeah, and I met my goal anyways. I met the goal, but you know, like the adventure was the funnest part. Just going on that adventure of not knowing, of pulling, you know, random sets and random packs and just like seeing what you're gonna get. That's the thrill
Yeah.
of the journey, right? Not it wasn't so much the goal. The goal was like the more of like the compass, right? The direction that you want to go towards, but the journey was the the most enjoying the most enjoyable part of that whole process of trying to get a Pikachu was just seeing if you're gonna get it randomly.
Right. Yeah. It's the happiness is centered on not the destination or the outcome or the goal, but it's centered on the journey of getting there.
Yeah, it's just not knowing. That's the magic. That's life. I mean, that's how you feel alive, right? It's just the mystery of not knowing. Of course, it's good to have goals. It's just like don't forget about the journey because that's where growth happens. I also want to talk about you know, I have a morning routine of matcha, and I've done it for so long, like so many years since like 2018. I started doing matcha every morning. I came to realize that the matcha wasn't what I enjoyed most about that whole routine. It was just the process of making it. There's these step by step process that you have to kind of follow in order to get to the frothy matcha at the end. And I noticed that each step I take just brings me full presence in the act of doing. It's just boiling the water, you know, whisking or how do you say it? Sifting the matcha first and then putting in the hot water and whisking it. You know, it's just I just enjoy that shit. You know,
Yeah.
I can't explain it, but I don't know why exactly I like it or why it brings me so much presence. I just straight up like it. You know, the matcha wasn't the best thing about it. It was the whole process.
Nice. Well, I'm a coffee person, so I just go straight for the instant coffee. Like I
Well,
don't care about making the coffee. I just want the hit.
I feel like a lot of people are like that though. Like that's why they go to like Starbucks or Coffee Bean
They
drive-throughs.
just want the
Yeah, they
caffeine.
just need that fix right away. But, you
That's
know,
me.
that understandable. But like, yeah, the whole idea is more about like finding the things that you just enjoy doing because you like the act of doing it. So tell me, is there another thing that besides running that you kind of like the process of versus like the outcome?
Yeah, so something less physical that I actually just enjoy, um, without even thinking about what's going to be the goal or the outcome is just binge watching like a Netflix series or a TV series that is, I guess mainstream. Like one example that I had in mind was Squid Games. When I first started watching it, what drew me in wasn't like, oh, what's going to happen at the end, but it was just like the characters that pull you in, trying to know like what their background is, like not necessarily what's going to happen to them, but just like investing in them,
Emotionally
emotionally
investing
investing,
in their
like
development too, right?
connecting to
Yeah.
those characters.
Hmm.
That's what I find joy and fun in as I'm watching these TV shows and these episodes. And I don't even think about like getting to like the final episode or heck like even seeing spoilers on Reddit discussions. Like I actually enjoy the process of like after every episode checking to see what other people comment or think about like that episode I just watched. And that's a joy in the process itself.
You know what's funny? I had a roommate who would be that person who just go to Wikipedia and just spoil it for himself
Oh
and
my
not
gosh.
even like then he'll be like, "Oh, okay, so I don't have to watch a movie anymore."
What's the fun in
Yeah,
that?
what's the point? There's like you're not living life, like
Yeah.
you're you're just outreaching, pulling for that goal, that end, that outcome without even enjoying the process. And it's like honestly, that sucks. Like
Yeah. I mean, I get why people would do that is because they want to know, like, is this movie worth investing their time into? Is this a good rated movie or something? But there's even bad rated movies out there that could be like your favorite thing to watch.
I mean, yeah, that's valid. That's totally valid to want to know if it's worth your time. But there's so many times where like I went into a movie with no expectations and like I enjoyed it. Like I like legit enjoyed it. There's I think the Hawaii International Film Festival
Yeah,
that
didn't we go to that one
yeah,
that that year?
we the one that we watched I can't say that I enjoyed. Like I didn't know. Like I just went in with no expectations, but there are so many other times where I went to see a film in that film festival where I didn't expect to actually really enjoy watching because I just didn't have an expectation. I didn't have an outcome. I didn't even have the idea of me like holding on to this idea that I will like it. Like I wasn't attached to liking the movie, right? Because I didn't know what to expect. And that the process of letting the movie unfold itself and then me connecting with it, I just left it up to the universe.
Yeah.
I left it. I kind of was just open to seeing how things played out, and if I did like it, then that's great. But I think just the mystery itself
Yeah.
is is what I like most about like the journey. Is just not knowing.
Right. I love how we both are talking about movies because we're videographers also, and we both enjoy watching films. There's just something about emotionally connecting with the characters versus like trying to understand the plot or the story or knowing what happens.
I think that's also why we enjoy the journey of things too, because we have some type of connection to it. Yeah, there's a sort of like emotional connection to it. Like for me, maybe making the matcha, it gives me presence because I feel like I have a connection towards like the idea of self-care that I'm nurturing myself by doing this process. I think that's what I'm emotionally invested in, is that I'm taking care of myself.
Yeah, that's a good example. And also for me too, like whenever I get into a state of running, it takes me out of my mental, I guess, hamster wheel that I'm running, and I'm more focused on my body, like having that connection to whatever I'm doing physically.
Yeah, you're connected to your body. Maybe that's what the emotional invested investment is like you're fully connected to your body and fuck everything else basically.
Right. Yeah.
So let's do a little mind reframing, new, giving you guys a new side quest. Um, I wrote these down, because I like to go deep, but I can't like talk about it from the top of my head.
He
So
likes to go deep.
I like to go deep. So hear me out. The process is the reward. It is the presence. It is where life is happening. The in betweens is where the magic resides. Every step we take, every lesson we learn, and every challenge we face is shaping us into who we are meant to be. The outcome is just a moment, but the process is where we grow, evolve, and experience the richness of being alive. Instead of asking, when will I get there? Try asking, what am I learning right now? Instead of waiting for happiness at the finish line, instead of instead of waiting for happiness at the finish line, look for the joy in the becoming, in the unfolding, because in the end, the process was the point all along.
That's nice. That's money right there.
That's money. Let's go. All right, Zach, bring it home.
All right. So, if you enjoyed the process of listening to us talking about goals and enjoying the process itself being the reward, then make sure you give us 5 stars on Spotify as well as Apple Podcast. Be sure to hit like as well as subscribe to this YouTube channel, and we'll see you guys in the next Side Quest podcast.
Side quest complete.